morning routine, which I won't bore you with again, but it's an absolutely beautiful day, so let's go for another snowy walk. Look at that. It's perfect. It's pretty bright today. It said it was going to be cloudy. It's not so far, and it's chilly too. It's about -5 at the moment, but it's a dry cold, you know, so it's nice. I like it. I'm just walking out the same direction as yesterday. I'm kind of interested to see how far those other people got. It looks like they're following the same route I took so far, which makes sense. Oh, I've just seen some more prints. I think it might be a squirrel actually. Looks like it's run across the snow between this pine and that Norway spruce. Hopefully you can see that. You've got the two bigger back feet here and the 2 front feet, and it's kind of jumped from here right to there, to there, to there, 4 bounds, and it's at that other tree. Oh yeah, look. You can see it's been eating away at the cones. I'm still following those people's tracks from yesterday. I've come to this kind of rocky outcrop that looks quite interesting. There's a bit of a hill here. I think they've walked across, or maybe some kind of viewpoint up there, but we'll go and check it out. Might be a nice place to stop for something to eat. That was actually a bit more difficult than I thought. It's just the snowshoes and it's quite a steep little snap. I guess I'm still a little bit awkward on them. But yeah, I've got to the top of this rocky outcrop and looks like quite a nice view over here. I'll take you over and have a look. Oh wow. Oh, there's a cabin tucked away down there. Jeez, what a place to have a cabin. Fantastic. With that view as well. I wish I lived in Norway. Just feels like endless forest. And on that note, let's have a sit down and talk about some trees. But yeah, I'll start off by mentioning the Boreal forest. So the Boreal forest is basically an ecozone that goes the full circumference of the northern hemisphere, and it's a northern forest. It's a forest that grows in harsh conditions, poor soils, poor nutrient availability, and it starts to take hold as you move up through the latitude. So as you go up in latitude, the soils get thinner, poorer. It gets colder, the growing seasons are shorter, and these forests are normally dominated by spruces, pines, birch. So where I am here in southeast Norway, this area of Norway is classed as Boreal forest. The western side of Norway isn't. It's more, I can't remember the correct term, is it Atlantic or maritime, oceanic, something like that. Because it's on the coast, it's the moisture levels are a lot higher. Similar to Scotland, so some are like the Cairngorms, the forests there, you know, the Caledonian pine woods. They're kind of seen as a western outpost of the boreal forest. We don't have Norway spruce. Norway spruce didn't naturally make it back to Scotland after the last ice age, but on the continent here, Norway spruce is a big component of the forest. So we've basically got the boreal forest without the Norway spruce, and it's a bit more open grown, and the form of the pines are a bit, you know, they're wider, more gnarled, that kind of thing. So yeah, here in this forest, the dominant species are Norway spruce and Scots pine, so Picea abies and Pinus sylvestris. We've got a lot of downy birch, which is Betula pubescens, and there's aspen. I can't see any aspen just now, but I have seen aspen as I've been walking around. Populus tremula. There'll be other species, rowan. I've seen the odd rowan, the odd kind of willow, that kind of thing. And that's pretty much it. I'm not sure if this is like a nature reserve. I don't think it is, but the forest here has a very natural structure to it. You know, all the species are kind of mixed in. You've got open areas where it's just too wet for trees. When these species tend to grow naturally, you'll have Scots pine on the kind of thinner, drier knolls and soils, usually kind of higher up, and they start to kind of peter out as you get really high, or they get kind of small and stunted and twisted. And then like further down the slope and in the valleys where the soils are a bit better and there's maybe a bit more moisture, the Norway spruce tends to dominate. And that's it really. I mean, the boreal forest in its natural state is quite species poor. There's not many species that can tolerate the conditions. And where I am here, I'm actually about 450 metres above sea level here. So even if down below it wasn't quite the right conditions for boreal forest, not only when you move up in latitude does the boreal forest start to dominate, also when you move up in altitude you get the same effect. So it would definitely be boreal forest, you know, on top of this kind of hill area here. But yeah, I always get a bit of an odd feeling when I come to forests, you know, in Scandinavia and Finland. You know, it kind of feels familiar in a way, you know, trees like this. It's like just like home almost, you know, and the birch as well. Obviously we're missing the Norway spruce forest, so it's familiar, but also it makes me feel a little bit sad about back home as well. Just when you see the condition of our forests, you know, it's not good. And another thing is the morphology of the trees tend to change as you move further north in latitude or higher in altitude. Like I mentioned earlier, the trees get smaller because they're more exposed to wind. The growing conditions are harsher, so they grow a lot slower. And especially the Norway spruce, if you get the Norway spruce growing higher up, especially in areas where there's lots of snow, you'll see they grow very tall and narrow, and that's so they can shed the snow load. Obviously the narrower they are, you know, the more snow just sheds down. So I'm trying to see a good example here. I'll maybe throw up a video clip if I've got one. But yeah, you get very spindly Norway spruce, you know, with very short branches that kind of tend to hang down. But anyway, that's it. I just wanted to talk about trees a little bit. Like I say, I'm going to talk about something a bit different at the end of the video for Forest Thoughts, just about kind of where I am and and how the land is managed here, and how it differs from Scotland, and how Scotland could do so much better. But yeah, it's getting a bit chilly now, so I'm going to get moving again. I might try and find another spot to have a little fire, and I'll make some lunch. We've got some more tracks here again. I mean, it's quite big. You can also see we've got some kind of mouse or something cutting across there. So if you see the little footprints, I'm just following these tracks out. Some look small like a fox, and then some look quite wide. Yeah, we'll keep following it and see if we can find anything. So I followed it out, and then it goes off down. It just kind of drops off just there. It's quite a sheer drop, so I'm not going to bother going any further. But yeah, I don't know. I'm definitely no expert in tracking by any means. But I think what I will do, there's a nice big fallen tree there. I might actually go and have something to eat and a fire just there. It's clouding over quite a bit now. Might actually start to snow again. Whew. Yeah, I've just got some noodles that I've boiled up in the kettle here, and I'm gonna eat them as well. I'll probably just hang about here for a little bit, and then I'll make my way back to the cabin. I didn't really do much when I got back from the walk. Just had a coffee, dried some stuff out. I did start looking at the times for my travel back, and just working it back from when I need to be at the airport, and I would probably safely have to leave here at like 5 o'clock in the morning, which would include hiking out in the dark for about an hour and a half, and I don't really fancy doing it, to be honest. So I think what I'm going to do is just book into that cheap hotel again down in Drammen, and then I know I'm right next to the train station, and it's just an hour straight to the airport. So this is actually my last night. I'll see you in the morning for basically tidying up the cabin and getting ready to leave. Yeah, I'm just going to have breakfast just now and then start getting packed up and cleaning the cabin. There's not really much to clean, to be honest, just sweeping up. I'll mop the floor a little bit, just chopping some kindling and getting some logs in and restocking that for the next person. Just sort of common courtesy stuff. A little bit of a clean in the kitchen, although I haven't really used it much apart from, you know, just boiling the kettle. And yeah, we'll start to make our way down the hill back to the city. I haven't actually seen anyone at all for 5.5 days now. So it's been perfect. We're all packed up pretty much. Place is all clean. I've taken most of the ashes and cleaned out the stove. I just chucked them in the fire pit outside as instructed. Kitchen's all clean. So time to get the snowshoes on and head back down the hill. Just the same route back down the hill, but it feels so much quicker because obviously I'm going downhill, and I'm actually 6 kilos lighter because all the food's finished now. So yeah, it was quite a slog up the way, but not so bad going down. I'm pretty much at the bottom of the hill now. I'm about 1 kilometre from the main road, which I then walk down to the city. But I've kind of made it back to the main track, and it's really well used, so it's easy to walk on without the snowshoes. If you've watched this far, then thank you very much. Again, I hope you've enjoyed this snowy escape to Norway, especially if you're back in the UK and you're sick of the wet weather like I am. If you want to stick around for Forest Thoughts, please do. But if not, I will see you on the next one. Hi folks, thanks for sticking around for Forest Thoughts. Hopefully you enjoyed that snowy winter break to Norway. I'm still here, obviously. I'm just recording Forest Thoughts before I leave the cabin. I wasn't going to do one, to be honest, because I'm guessing it's been quite a long video already, knowing me, unless I decide to do it in 2 parts, I'm not sure. But obviously I've had quite a lot of time to sit and think this past week, and I've been reading this book as well, and I just wanted to say a few things, again, just to get people thinking about stuff that they maybe hadn't considered before. So first of all, I'll start off by talking about where exactly I am just now. And although this location is, well, it's just been perfect for me, the weather's been perfect, this forest is absolutely beautiful. I would happily say it's better than anything that our national parks or Scotland have to offer, and I've only really seen a small part of it. I haven't seen anyone at all for the last 5.5 days. The only signs of humans I've seen are the snowshoe prints outside. Yet I'm actually only 4 kilometres from the edge of the city of Drammen, which is the 5th biggest city in Norway. And although it might have looked like I was completely isolated, there's huts and cabins dotted all over this hill, and even though the top portion of it seems to be managed as more like a nature slash recreation area. You know, there's loads of trails, snowmobile routes. The bottom half of the hill is definitely a more managed forest. You know, you could see there was forestry work and commercial plantations. And like I say, I've only really seen a very small percentage of this forest here. I mean, there's a huge area of forest and nature that stretches for miles behind the cabin here. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is that even though we're very close to a fairly large urban centre, we've got commercial forestry, you know, nature area, wildlife, lots of recreation, yet people are still able to build cabins and enjoy the forest and have their own little space and, you know, have everything. And to compare that to Scotland a little bit, I've got some numbers here. So the population of Drammen is 66,000. The population of Inverness is 50,000, so there's a few more here. But then Oslo is 634,000, the capital of Norway. And our capital, Edinburgh, is 530,000. So Oslo has 100,000 people more. But also, Oslo is only 45 minutes away from Drammen. So you've got a very heavily populated area, you know, between Oslo and Drammen, you know, right on the edge of this big area. Yet people can still work it, people can still enjoy it, you can still have, you know, places like this. I mean, for the average Norwegian who understands the outdoors and enjoys the outdoors, probably looks at me here going, you know, why you've travelled all the way from Scotland just to, you know, stay in a cabin on the edge of the city, really. You know, nothing special about that. You know, I'd rather go somewhere, you know, really nice. But for someone like me coming from Scotland, this is very special because we just don't have anything like this back in Scotland. Anything that's similar to this, you know, some kind of cabin or self-catering place near or in the forest is usually very expensive. It's, you know, it's so rare and the demand is so high and people, you know, charge through the roof for that kind of experience in Scotland. But part of the reason we can't have this in Scotland is because from the sort of Highland clearances, when they cleared all the people off the land, basically the wealthy elite, you know, the lords and masters, royalty, there was basically a land grab in Scotland, especially in the Highlands, and they all secured these vast areas of land as playgrounds, basically. And it not only moved the people off the land in terms of where they were living and working, but it also restricted our access to the land in terms of, you know, just being able to own a little patch of land and do something with it and have, you know, a low impact cabin like this. Now I assume, I don't know for sure, someone can correct me, but I assume all these cabins belong to a little private plot of land and you get a little bit of forest and you're able to build some kind of off-grid cabin, and you have to follow the rules about maybe how it looks or the size of it, and obviously not connected to any mains utilities. Not that you really could up here, you know, but kind of low impact dwellings. And that's exactly what we can't do back home, because even though we have the outdoor access code, we have a lot of freedom in terms of like walking and camping type thing. Anything more substantial than that, majority of people are completely locked out of it because of these large, vast estates that are owned by single people, most of the time people who don't even live in Scotland. So for me, what that has resulted in is a lot of our landscape, especially our upland areas, vast areas of our uplands, are just so dead and unproductive. And I don't necessarily mean productive in terms of commercial uses or, you know, using natural resources. I just mean in terms of like nature, natural habitats, forest, and our enjoyment too, like actually being able to benefit from the land. Never mind owning some of it to build a house and live off it, you know, grow some of your own food. Even just to be able to build cabins like this and just go out and appreciate nature in the area that you're in without having it cost an absolute fortune and be, you know, only really available for the privileged few. I would definitely recommend this book. Throughout, it kind of deals with this issue of, you know, what was seen as what the proper Highland estate should have been run like, and now how that's all changing. You know, we're all starting to wake up and realise, you know, just how bad it is. I mean, a lot of our vast estates are, you know, deer forests and grouse moors, and you'll hear a lot of people in those sectors saying, you know, if we get rid of these land uses, you know, it'll impact fragile rural communities, and, you know, we'll be losing our culture and all this kind of stuff. Well, this culture's only existed for a couple hundred years. It's a culture of peasants serving, you know, the rich lords and ladies, usually English in the past, or, you know, overseas now. There's no real Scottish culture there. It's a nonsense. It's a romantic idea, a Victorian romantic idea that's just been programmed into all our brains, you know, the Highland estate. Really, the money that these land uses generate is tiny. And it's for a tiny amount of people, especially when you compare it to the level of environmental damage and how much land it's actually occupying. It's crazy when you really start to think about it. But also, you imagine if you had some serious land reform and a lot of that land was broken up and given to different owners, how much productivity there would be in terms of somewhere to live, you know, extra jobs, diversity in the landscape, you know, people creating their own patches of forest, doing all sorts of different things, and all of a sudden you get this varied, productive landscape, you know, and we just start to kind of just make more of it. It really is just a wet desert at the moment that's not benefiting anyone at all. Anyway, I didn't want to finish this video on too much of a negative note, but I just some more food for thought as always. Again, I recommend this book. I've not even finished it yet, but it's been brilliant so far. I'm just over halfway. And again, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed seeing, you know, some of snowy Norway. It's been a fantastic trip for me. I really enjoyed it. And hopefully I will see you on the next one.